Hello, everybody. On today's Career Mindset, episode number 2, Hannah and I are going to go over interview techniques, one of Hannah's favorite topics. So we created for you a 2-page guide on how to ace any interview, and it's now available on our website, zen4blue.org. Just look for it under the Resources tab. Okay, Hannah, why don't you walk us through the 3 key steps to becoming a pro at interviews?
I'm so excited to be doing this. So, what I have learned from competing is that success depends on 3 different things. So, for me, it's being authentic, being confident, and being concise. So, being authentic to me means telling your true story, especially with pageantry. I share my story of mental health, which is something I struggled with for a really long time, being able to tell these judges this very strong story about a young girl facing this. It made me understand how hard judging or choosing the right candidate in a job interview can be, but focusing on an authentic story that is moving and appropriate for a work setting is super important, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I've actually even overcome a little bit of nervousness as the interviewer when I'm interviewing for members of the Zen4Blue team. And oftentimes, because Zen4Blue is so important to me, it is my passion and my chosen dream career. It does make me a little bit nervous to actually interview and say, hey, this is Zen4Blue. And that person on the other end of the interview may not like what our mission is, or they might not like what we have to offer, or it just might not be the right fit. They might love the mission, but it doesn't fit with what their career goals are. So I can definitely relate.
I think it can be really scary. I know for me, I was so nervous to share such a big part of myself with the judges just because when you think about it, it's four people that you have no idea who you are, and you are walking into this room and you're like, wow, I just shared that with them. And for me, I just had a really hard time overcoming that fear of people knowing. But that journey is what makes you authentic. That something about you makes you keep going. So I think it can be super intimidating, but it also at the same time can be your success because it shows that you faced real challenge, real hardship, but you've still gotten back up again afterwards.
I think too, with AI technology really taking over the technology and writing our resumes for us, or at least helping us with key cover phrases and cover letters, I think being authentic at the interview level is essential to secure employment, even if you made it past the AI and the HR department already with your resume and your stellar writing skills. I think a lot of employers are looking for that authenticity. Who you are, do you fit in with our team, and will this be the right fit?
I totally agree. My second point is being confident. I feel like there is that thing where people say it's better to be confident and just say it than being shy and forgetting what you're going to say. Because I've witnessed so many women, especially in the pageant world, lose it because they say it quietly or they don't speak it in a way that convinces the judges that they know what they're talking about and they want to represent. I think the one thing I had when I came into pageants was saying things confidently. I am very loud and I'm very honest. And being able to share that in interview has definitely, and in onstage question and just job interviews in general, has definitely made it a lot easier to be successful just because when you are a bubbly personality, it catches people's attention. And with pageants, especially, a girl not being as nervous as the rest in the interview and having a general honest conversation with you is what they're looking for. So when I say confident, I mean just be yourself. Just give the judges your bubbly, smiley personality. I know we think it's weird because I always think I'm so like pow in your face sometimes. I don't want to share it, but that's truly what they're looking for. And people in general are looking for a face, a person that they feel something for. Like they were like, oh, this person is really confident, is really bubbly. We want that because that'll bring our office more like business, as well as just like all of these people are going to love this person, and like it's going to be easier in the office when we're all together doing things. They're going to be able to be flexible, they're going to be able to be in meetings smiling, cheering people on. And I feel like, especially because of COVID and things like that, we haven't had to we haven't been able to have that experience. So I hope that people see that more often now and just take into consideration that you can just be confident and be yourself. And these people, that's definitely what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who is just woo and just has this amazing personality, but also is just showing up and being like, I want to be here. I want to work for this. And this is who I am.
You make a really good point of showing up and wanting the position. When you have the beautiful resume and you worked really hard to build the skill set that you've written down so eloquently on a single sheet of paper, to tie the personality and the confidence in your skills is probably the art of interview itself. Could you maybe elaborate how would you exude confidence if you were a sea mammal biologist and you have the skill of identifying all of the sea mammals? How would you then sound confident if we said, why do you want to work for our sea animal conservation project?
I would be very concise and also show what I know. I would explain the things on my resume, but I would also show them what I really know, because a resume is just words. They see it and they ask you questions because they are interested in it. So honestly, I would tailor my resume to what I want the companies to hear, or what I want the judges to hear. That's what I do in pageants. You tailor it to the judges so you know what they are going to ask you, or have a good concept so you know how to answer it in a detailed manner. So I would respond with what I know, what I've done so far, and what I'm planning to do, because the best part is teaching them and saying what you're going to do. And that's what I've learned with pageants. Telling them what you're going to do with the crown as the next title holder makes it so much easier, but also showing them what you're already doing is violently important. I shared with my judges an interview for the national crown about how I've been reading in classrooms, I've been out and about in my community, I've been creating positive change already. So they should choose me because I'm going to continue to create positive change across the US and also spread my platform too through that. So I think it's that same concept of showing them what you know, what you are already doing, and then showing them how you're going to continue to do it.
I love that because employers do look for trainability, adaptability, and flexibility when they are in the hiring process. A lot of companies, especially nonprofit organizations, go through a lot of change. So you have to be able to utilize your skill set that you have, but also learn new skills. And I think a lot of leaders today think they have to do it all, when in reality, they do have the staff that want to learn. They want to contribute more. They want to excel and level up with companies. And I think if you show in an interview to your future employer that you are adaptable, flexible, and willing to learn, it definitely sets you apart from the rest.
And I would say I'd 100% agree with everything that you are saying. And the third thing that I say is super important is to be concise. I have this rule for myself because I'm such a rambler and I don't want to stop talking. And I have so much I want to say in a 3 minute period, an interview. I'm like, like all the time. I have a 25-second mark where I can count in my brain the 25 seconds. And if I'm still going, I cut myself off in a nice, concise way. I feel like 30 seconds is a great margin to answer a question, 25 to 30 seconds, because it's not too long, but it's not too short. Give it a little bit of background information, but also explain your point in a concise way and explain your why.
I like that. I like that a lot. So just for fun, if you're up for it, Hannah, let's try a pretend practice mock interview between myself and you. And let's practice so that the listeners have an idea of how to implement these three key steps of being authentic, being confident, and being concise.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
Okay, so the number one most popular interview question is, and you've probably even received this on the pageant stage, tell me about yourself.
So I would start out with my name. So my name is Hannah Karki, and I am a freshman at the University of Vermont studying psychology and human development. But I would also go into what I like to do for fun and also the important parts about me that make me me. I own a nonprofit called Safe Space Suicide Prevention that I started when I was 14 years old. I wrote the book, The Fire Within You, a new children's book that I created for anti bullying and suicide prevention. I love to work with people and I want to make sure that I am a friendly face that people can come to. I want to be able to be flexible with the people around me. And I want to make sure that I represent the organization or the company well.
Bravo. All right. Question number two, the most popular question asked by employers. Why do you want to work here?
So I would say for why do you want to work here, it probably ties in a lot to your personal values. So for me, if it was why do you want to work here, if I was going for my job example, I work as a barista and a social media manager at the company I work for. So when I interviewed there, I said I want to work here because I love the environment and the people who work here when I get served because I was a customer before. But I also love that I can do homework as a high school student, trying to balance my time, how flexible the schedules are, how it's really easy to get from my house to here. It's about a 10-minute drive. It makes it very easy for me to get here. And I am able to talk with people. My job is very social. It's all day, every day, making people drinks, but also asking people about their days. And I can also get all my work done in a concise amount of time.
Very nice. I like that too. I suppose it would be fair if I were interviewing for Zen4Blue, I should probably answer the question as well. I'm making you do all the hard stuff. So why do you want to work here? I will say that from the Zen4Blue standpoint, if you were interviewing, we are looking for someone who can carry out our mission because oftentimes interviewees will ask us what a question might be. So this would be why should you work here? You should work at Zen4Blue because we're an ocean careers nonprofit looking to make marine careers possible for everyone and rebuilding the marine workforce at every level outside of the academic pathway.
I love that. That was so good.
Okay, number three, this is a popular one. And I feel like there's a lot of interview resources out there that tell you not to touch on this question, but we're going to ask it anyway. What is one of your greatest weaknesses and how do you overcome it?
So I actually got this question in interview, which is actually amazing that it's coming up right now. But employers usually ask this question to evaluate you and your self-awareness. And honestly, they want to know what you excel at and what you can approach and need improvement in. A weakness that I have is overstepping boundaries with people. I feel like I need to jump in and save people sometimes when maybe it's better for them to save themselves because they don't know what they're going through and they don't know how to solve their own problem. So having them rebuild their own fortress of themselves and not having me jump in immediately can be really helpful for them.
Oh, that's such a well-created answer, especially when you're talking about something that's a weakness. I feel like that's a very difficult one to answer. A lot of times people are encouraged to turn a weakness into a strength. But I like that yours is keeping authentic and you're also very confident in your answer. It is a real boundary issue, but it actually proves to be a positive because you're learning from it and you're allowing the other person, your coworker, your colleague, or your teammate to also learn and grow in with the company and things like that as well. I like that a lot.
I think it's super important to, if you think you can put a positive spin on it, to do it, but I don't think forcing it will ever help you because I think you can tell an answer between authentic and not authentic, and you can hear as an interviewer, just a normal person, when someone isn't giving their full answer. And if you add something on, it can sometimes feel a little tacky. Honestly, if the weakness sounds authentic without trying to put an amazingly positive spin on it, I think it's totally fine to share. But I think at least having a little bit of positivity, like how in my answer I said, this is bad that I do this, but it's good because these people can help themselves and learn how to help themselves. That's positive enough. And I think it's hard to relate the weakness back to yourself.
No, that's good. I would say from a personal standpoint, my greatest weakness is I often try to do everything myself. I don't ask for help when I should, and I don't delegate to the team. It's something that luckily Zen4Blue nonprofit has taught me is to delegate out. I don't have to do everything. There's not enough minutes in the hour to do everything. And the bigger you are and the faster you grow, you realize that having that right hand person or having that co hostess on the podcast actually makes a huge difference. And building a team and camaraderie is actually more valuable and more progressive for the organization than trying to do it all by myself.
I love that answer. That's probably my second. That was what I was going to say, but I was like, I'm gonna do the one about people first because I know for a fact that's something I do. But I love that answer. I think it's awesome being your co-host. I love this.
This is fun. Okay, so the number four most asked question by employers is tell me about a time you faced a challenge at work and how you handled it.
I think this is really a behavioral question, and it really just shows and asks your problem solving skills and your decision making skills. And the interviewer is definitely looking for specific examples that demonstrate how you can respond to under pressure and obstacles. For me, I would say a challenge that I faced and how I handled it was going to college because and living on campus, I was very comfortable being at home and being a homebody. And moving to college really tested my ability to live with people as well as be flexible with time schedules and going to classes by myself, going to dinner by myself, and being okay with being alone in a few moments. So I would say that's my biggest struggle or my biggest challenge, and how I handled it was being able to find friends who I really like my roommates, but also my friends from school. But also, I learned that it's okay to take time for myself and be alone sometimes. Maybe that one dinner a week I'm by myself, that's really good for my health and just taking a break from whatever's going on around me.
That's great. I like that a lot. I think for the challenge at work that Zen4Blue faces, since we are a new organization, Zen4Blue was just born on Earth Day of 2023, so we haven't really been around that long. Our greatest challenge, I think, is that we exist, community awareness, and saying, hello, we're Zen4Blue, this is what we do. So we are solving that problem by expanding our reach through this podcast and our magazine and our social media platforms. And we're overcoming this challenge because we're not giving up. And I think in any challenge in any workplace, if you're faced with something, never stop trying to solve it. That's what employers are always looking for you to do. Don't come to them with the problem and say, okay, well, here's the problem. Go to them with the problem, and here's a couple of solutions that we'd like to try. Or how do you feel about trying it like this? Or Hannah and I have come together with a list of ways we think we can solve this problem. And even if your employer doesn't like the answers, they're going to like your persistence, your initiative, and your willingness to do what's good for the company.
I feel like your answers, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I would be scared of you if I was your competition. And if I'd be like, whoop, nope, I'm out. Goodbye. If I
It
was your
takes
judge, I'd be like tens across the board.
well, thank you. It takes a lot of practice, right? As you know, and the more experience you can have in interviewing, the better. The last question I think is super fun. Hannah, you're gonna love this one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know they asked you this in pageants. I know they did.
Yes, so I actually got asked this question in my first pageant ever, and I was a 14-year-old girl who had no idea what she was doing. So you know what I wrote? I wrote that I was going to live in a big house with my dogs and my best friend. And they put
Oh,
that out, but they put that out for the whole audience to hear. They read it out, and I was just mortified that these people knew that this is what I wrote, and I had no idea that it would be shared with the judges. Obviously, I would love that. But obviously, my view in life has changed as an 18-year-old girl. I see myself in 5 years working with the Peace Corps, having my master's degree in human development and psychology. I see myself with another few books, hopefully, another few crowns, hopefully, and also being able to go to these countries and have traveled and worked with these kids in these school districts in third world countries and really gotten in deep with my work and started out piecing together how we can give these kids the literacy and school supplies that they need to learn because we're so privileged here. And I want to share that privilege and that freedom to learn and to be in a school publicly with other kids and to play on soccer teams and have fun with these students across the world.
that's fantastic. I think from an employer's point of view too, they do look for the authenticity in this answer. I think a lot of times being confident in where you see yourself will also help a manager figure out if you are a good fit for their team. And you shouldn't take it personal if you're not a good fit for this team. I think if in 5 years you want to own the company and the owner is probably around the same age as you, it's probably not going to be the right fit. So you want to be honest and say, well, I want to have a flexible schedule and only work part time, but you're applying for a full time job. That might not be the right fit. So I think being honest and authentic and confident in where you see yourself in 5 years is actually just good in general, as far as discovering who you are as a person and your own values and your own goals and dreams. And then if you're able to share that with your employer and how that career helps you along that 5 year journey to make you a better person and fulfill a lot of the things that you have in your 5 year goals. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to move into some of the questions I always ask myself and would love for you to answer is how do you overcome the butterflies in your stomach and the nervousness before an interview?
So I understand that totally. I am such an anxious person when it comes to interview. I used to pace around and be in my room a lot before interview, especially for pageants. I think when I woke up from my interview for nationals, I was going insane because I was so nervous. But something I like to do right before interview is I like to wake up and just take a moment for myself, whether that's just sitting there or if it's doing something for myself, like washing my face, getting in the shower, just taking a moment just to breathe. I think we forget to just take a deep breath and just say to ourselves, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to expect, but I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to be myself. Whatever happens before or after, I am still me, and that is all I need. And I do that. I did that right before I won. I took a shower. I did my own hair and makeup because for me, doing my hair and makeup calms me down. So before my interview, I woke up. My interview was at 8 in the morning, which was dreadful, but it was bad. I think that was the earliest interview I've ever had in my life. And I went, took a shower, and I did my own hair and makeup. And that really just put me in place and calmed me down because I have to have focus to do that. So my anxiety couldn't creep in. So definitely just taking time for yourself. I think interviews can be such a huge step and a leap. And just giving yourself a moment to understand that this is a huge moment, but it's going to be okay. It's just one interview and there's so many interviews in your life. Like I think I interviewed over 7 times before I won this, 6 or 7 times. And this was my sixth or seventh interview. And then I finally won. So I've had that moment of, ooh, this is not go. I don't know how I'm doing. 6 or 7 times before it really got to my point where I realized how to really calm down, be in touch with myself, and to not worry.
I think that's a really good point. Not every interview is a do or die type of moment. It's okay if you don't get this particular job. Maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe you have a better opportunity around the corner. You just never know. I like that a lot. I would also like to kind of touch on our other key point, which is be confident. Do you have any tips on how to get stronger in confidence? Like, if you're not an overly confident person, how do you build the confidence? How do you practice confidence and ace an interview?
So for me, I was really shy when I started doing pageants, and I had no idea how to sit in a room with these people and talk to them about who I was. So I actually sat in front of a mirror for a really long time and looked at the way I talked about myself and the faces I made, and also my hand placement, my leg placement when I sat or stood. For different interviews, I've had to stand, for other interviews, I've had to sit. So for me, I just did practicing with looking at myself in the mirror, watching my facial expressions, but also watching what my voice is saying, what my face is doing. Because it really, you could be saying something and thinking you're doing a great job, but your face might not be saying that. And I think your face is a great indicator of showing nerves. I also just recommend either talking it out and out loud. I know it kind of sounds a little crazy and you might look a little crazy doing it, but if you're at home or by yourself, just talking out questions that are in your head and then answering them is super awesome.
I like that. There's definitely an element of practice, I think, that would benefit everyone, whether they're public speaking or doing an interview or even a live broadcast of some sort. We have the luxury, Hannah, that we don't have to do our podcast live this time. I wanted to also ask, how can we deal with the frustration of not winning or not getting the job and kind of the feeling of loss or the feeling of failure?
So I'd say have a clear, concise path of who you are, but also know not getting the job. That doesn't mean you're not fit for it. That just means there might be another opportunity waiting for you around the corner. Or there are just a few things that you need to really work on, and that's okay too. We're all works in progresses in life. There's no shame in not winning or not getting that job interview. It's just a path of life that you have to take, and you'll keep going and could keep going, and you'll find your right place.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important, especially when you're transitioning from either an old career into a new one or trying something you've never tried before. It's absolutely essential to just believe in yourself, never give up. That's why we created this Career Mindset podcast, is to build and learn and grow within the team of listeners that we're now developing. We can help each other out. These tips have been fantastic, Hannah. Thank you so very much. I'm so excited to do episode number 4 and 5 as we continue to learn about public speaking and how to present scientific literature or complex presentations. And I think all of these skills are going to be invaluable, not only in our marine career field, but in all career paths, because these skills are fit for anyone who wants to pursue a career in anything. In case you missed it, we have made a interview guide on our website. So Hannah and I put a lot of thought into the questions that we discussed today. We also made a second series of questions related specifically to marine careers, and that's available at send4blue.org. Just look for the tab labeled resources and you'll see our e-guide there.